3 minutes of your time. Simple and effective ways to improve your social media engagement. Written by Stuart Macadam and David Bell. Introduction. First steps in building an online community. Do you want to know how to do well on social media? Are you ready and willing to move beyond private use of social media to build an online community? And maybe move into different social media platforms, or even build your own website to complement your media accounts. Whether you are just starting or are well on your way to being an established social media player, you still have to be smart, safe, and positive. Here are communication and personal skills you can use in every situation: school, work, every kind of social situation where you want to be understood and understand others. Let's start by concentrating on the word social. According to Statista, the statistics portal, there are now more than 2.6 billion people around the world on at least one social media platform. By 2021, that number is expected to exceed 3 billion. Believe it or not, YouTube users watch 4 billion videos every single day. The way we watch videos has changed. It's no longer the norm to gather around TV, but now we can consume audio and video content when we want and using multiple devices. How can you possibly compete? At first glance, the statistics look overwhelming. We feel we can't compete. The most social media impact any one of us can make is just a drop in the vast digital ocean. And the information levels are rising at an alarming rate. Yet, there's another way of looking at this picture. It only takes a few minutes of analysis to see that the metaphor has its limitations. Maybe it's better to visualize yourself on a stage with countless others, rather than swimming in a sea of social media experiences. On the live stage, you are instinctively aware that you have multiple roles to perform, both as actors and as audiences. You have your own individual story to tell in daily life, so don't lead a double life and try to tell a different story on social media. Strive to be on social media as the authentic person that you are on the live stage. Chapter 1. Know your audience. How important is it to understand and define your audience? Stuart Macadam notes, it's massive. I think if you don't know who your audience is, then you're just going to be sending a bulk message out to anyone and everyone. Getting an audience is hard. Sustaining an audience is hard. It demands a consistency of thought, of purpose, and of action over a long period of time. Bruce Springsteen. As you know, with television advertising and similar broad generic advertising, it's merely a time filler. It's mostly futile in terms of connecting to the people you really want to reach. So I would say that you have to know everything from their age, their interests, what types of content they enjoy, what type of content they consume, and what their typical life looks like. When you know these things, you can start to gain an understanding of what type of materials and content you want to put together for them. Describe someone in your ideal audience using a fictional character. One of the best tools to show who your audience can be is to create these characters, sometimes called a persona. What this means is drawing a word picture of this persona with his or her own characteristics and needs and aspirations. It's a simple yet sophisticated process. You don't need to be very specific when you do it. Background factors are an aid to writing about a persona. You can mention age, culture, interests, and affiliations. 3-minute challenge. Take 3 minutes right now to see in your mind's eyes what one ideal consumer of your content will be. Stop reading and just let your imagination create for the next 180 seconds. Then write down the characteristics of this ideal audience member. Repeat this 3-minute challenge each day for the week ahead, building a set of 7 fictional characters. This will help you create much more specific content, learning to communicate well with your audience characters. You have begun to write for the real audience. No matter how well you know your audience, they will always surprise you and sometimes frustrate you. Getting into social media in a more serious way is not for the faint of heart. But for those willing to risk a little, there can be considerable gain if you feel you helped, encouraged, and enabled others. Chapter 2: Know Yourself. Self-knowledge leads to wise choices. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." No matter how sophisticated social media audiences become, the power of a simple story, which is well written as a post, or well read, or well sung as a podcast, or well performed as a video, will hold their attention. You have to learn and tell your story to your audience and to tell it well. Write it in turn to the different audience persona that you have developed. You will soon master the techniques of writing for your audience and its subgroups on the life stage. Be different, be mobile, be relevant, be ecological, be committed, be significant, be together, be political. John Vincent. Have you tried to understand how your message, with your particular emphases and point of view, might be received by people who think like you, and also by people who don't think like you? Have you prepared carefully for every social post you make? Of course it will show. Yet what is often neglected is what your posts reveal about you. Whether your field is video, text, or graphic, whatever you create always conveys aspects of yourself. It's obvious that self-knowledge leads to wiser choices and outcomes in social media. Yet how many truly can say of themselves that they have a good self-knowledge? Learn more about yourself in David Bell's online video series on the psychology of Carl Gustav Jung and how our personality type can be developed. Before anything else, understand how you learn best and how you relate best to others. Stuart Macadam notes, learn to see rejection and criticism as an important part of the creative process. By working with peers, you can learn from each other and what kind of posts work well and spark interest. Another important factor in knowing yourself is knowing how best you learn. Try to understand your personal learning style. Then you also discover how you can relate your learning to others. Here's a first step with learning styles. Take this easy 3-minute challenge right now by writing down your answers. Which of these is most important to you? Your own life experience or listening to others about their life experience? A friend's feedback or a mentor's feedback? Peer group feedback or just personal self-reflection? Writing down and reflecting on your answers can reveal a basic personality trait, whether you are more extroverted or more introverted. Thinking about those fictional characters, the persona, they may also help you see whether you are more at home with a wider or smaller group of friends. This may help you to write more naturally. Some people learn best by using their eyes, others their ears, others using touch, smell, and taste. Some prefer to work alone, others in groups. You can find more about your preferred learning style through the many free online sites. To do well on social media, know your personal strengths and weaknesses. Remember, there is no perfect 10 out of 10 score for posts, but there is great satisfaction in helping others to see more clearly. Be positive and affirming of your audience. They do not come to your page for you to project your fears, anxieties, or anger onto them. Second set of 3-minute challenges about learning styles. Write down why you enjoy working with others when thinking about new ideas and the advantages of being in a team situation. Write down why you would prefer working alone, in solitude, when involved in the creative process. Write down why you prefer the mental stimulation of graphic and video rather than music, or vice versa. The important thing is to capture in words the main one or two differences. If you want to engage others online in helpful, affirming ways, you will need to feel comfortable, sometimes working alone and sometimes with others. It's well known that the human brain uses its two hemispheres to process information in different ways. The right brain tends to use informal networking, ambiguity, and intuition. The left brain tends to use organization, certainty, familiar ground, and logic. If you understand your own learning preferences, you can post to your audience in a more constructive way. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Albert Einstein. Chapter 3. Know your subject. A great work of the imagination is one of the highest forms of communication of truth that mankind has reached. But a great piece of literature does not try to coerce to believe it or agree with it. A great piece of literature simply is. Madeleine L'Engle. Build a team around you to increase self-awareness of where you fit on the knowledge spectrum. Team. It's fundamental to what you do and your success. And it's the driving force. So, if you've got a couple of people that you know, they might be friends or colleagues or classmates or people you know from a tutorial class or wherever, ask them to help you build a presence with your own website. You often find that people within your network can already help you and have the skills and insights which can really get you going on your journey. Analytics insight. 4 key questions. Always ask yourself and your team these questions. What is going on? Listen, get data, research widely, discern patterns. Why is this going on? Interpret your data. Use it to understand and then explain what's happening in the world. What ought to be going on? Consider offering your audience constructive guidance on the gap between what's happening and what a better ethical response could be. How might you and your audience respond? Be realistic and pragmatic. Develop an action plan. Your personal action plan equals a post. You will need to demonstrate knowledge in your posts. You must know your subject through and through. 3-minute challenge. Decide which of the following will best suit your post. When you choose the most appropriate presentation mode, then the communication will be confident. Visual, photos or graphics. Oral, music or other kinds of podcast. Verbal, text, all of the above. Video. Don't post on any topic if you are not yet sure about either your content or the most suitable presentation mode. Sometimes it's easier to make a video or podcast rather than write a text-based long article. Sometimes the reverse is true. No matter how well you know your audience, they will always surprise you and sometimes frustrate you. Make sure that you are as accurate and knowledgeable about your topic as you can be. Your audience will let you know if there are some necessary corrections. The presentation and format will follow the story you want to tell, not vice versa. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. What happens when the audience doesn't respond? A hard lesson to learn. Learn to see rejection and criticism as an important part of the creative process. Building an audience is not easy. It helps to have friends or peers who are trying to do something similar. But when you reach out on any social platform, there is no guarantee of safety or success. There may well be some stinging criticism of your work. A post that you put a lot of time and effort into may get 0 response, or worse, generate negative comments. This is where the creative skills of building an audience becomes crucial. You can easily set up rules for filtering negative comments or abusive language and content that it never gets to see your social pages again. That is, it never becomes public. Yet you also have to be prepared for the fact that not everyone in your audience will agree or like what you write, or be interested in the videos, graphics, and images you spend hours creating. And that's often really hard to take. But it's important to be able and willing to put criticism and critique into context. Don't let it get to you. Lack of audience growth or response is an increase to your anxiety and fear of social rejection. You might be tempted to spend a lot more time on this than it actually warrants. Occasionally, there is also an unhealthy addiction to using social media. If you think it's taking over your life, don't be afraid to seek professional help. Don't give up. Remember that J.K. Rowling had her first Harry Potter novel rejected 12 times before a publisher said yes. Each time, she took it as an opportunity to revise and polish her work. Your audience will know from your posts whether you're doing just that, revising, rethinking, talking it through. By working with peers, you can learn from each other what kind of posts work well and spark interest. Don't be afraid to ask friends and family to like the page post output that you create. Never accept online bullying. Don't put up with negative, bitter, or harsh criticism. Report online abuse and delete it. And equally, don't spam or bully others. The stage of life is too big to get dragged down into poor quality media response. The way to love anything is to realize that it may be lost. G.K. Chesterton. You are obviously passionate about social media. Getting into social media in a more serious way is not for the faint-hearted, but for those willing to risk a little, there can be considerable gain if you feel you helped, encouraged, and enabled others to grow and feel better about themselves. That might just be the best personal goal to have. Final chapter. Communicate with confidence. Take a cue from Robert Strauss, a former US diplomat and ambassador to Russia. Before I begin the speech, I have something to say. Stuart Macadam notes, if you look at the companies and organizations which produce the best content, they're asking for feedback and are constantly looking for ways to improve their content offers. There is no better way to know the value of your content than by measuring organic engagement. How many people are actively engaging with your posts? No matter how sophisticated social media audiences become, the power of a simple story, either well written, well read, well sung, or well performed, will hold their attention. You have to learn over and over again how to tell your story to your audience and to tell it well. After posting, wait to see what feedback comes in. In the light of the feedback, evaluate how well the post performed against your own goals. Naturally, you will want to involve your peers, friends, or support group in evaluation of posts. This kind of feedback can be the most helpful of all. Also be prepared to give constructive feedback to others. How will your words change the people who read your post? Do you want them to see your point of view or to learn some new insight? Work with feedback and analytics. Unless you are constantly pushing feedback and analytics and taking things to the next level every single week and thinking about how you can do that, you'll get left behind. Companies with certain reputations, very good reputations, have been left behind because they haven't been able to take that feedback, the critical feedback, in a constructive way. Don't hesitate to ask for constructive criticism because you want to improve your standards. It is not always advisable to seek feedback from kindly souls who will always be positive. Sometimes the stinging criticism hurts because there is a grain of truth in it. But until you hear it, how will you know what to correct? The more you act positively on constructive critiques of your posts, podcasts, or videos, the more your power as a genuine communicator will deepen. Learn to tell it well. David Bell. 3-minute challenge. Write a brief statement that will guide what you create in your posts. A well-prepared statement allows for some significant creativity and risk-taking. You know who you are writing for, those imaginary characters, the personas. What are you going to tell them? Your story. Improve your design skills. More energy is expended on making graphics and getting photos just right in Facebook posts than on the production of words. Everyone knows that an eye-catching photo will capture attention and provide a focal point, maybe carry the entire meaning of the post. Your text can do that and sometimes even more. The art of writing text. David Bell notes that the overall design of text is also important. I am sure that the best words can convey more weight than we realize. Here are a few lines of a great poem from the early 20th century. As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. So, C.P. Cavafy starts his poem about the fabled island of Ithaca, the home of Odysseus, the greatest of the Greeks, who struggled against even the gods in his quest to be reunited with his wife. His were extraordinary adventures, myths, by which to measure the worth of a life. Cavafy ends the poem by saying that at the time we finally arrive at our destination, Ithaca itself, we will understand what all these Ithacas mean. That is, all these other places on the journey were just as important as Ithaca itself. Map the journey out. See it. It's like that in the writing of text. You want to get to our major idea or major points, yet also strive to convey meaning along the way. The art of a long post, about 1,000 words, remains at the top of the agenda for the social media enthusiast. Beside the art and craft of writing, telling the story of you that only you can tell, there is also the design of other supporting elements on the page. If text doesn't match image, if one isn't somehow suggestive of the other, then the measure of the post will be at best confusing and at worst result in less engagement. Online, there are numerous free hints on learning how to make a better designed page or post. You can use the free resource Confident Speaking, a learned and formidable art from kiwiconnection.nz. Maybe all the above can be best summed up as identify your tribe, the group to whom you belong, and write for them. The philosopher Simon Wheel describes how two prisoners to adjoining cells learn, over a long period of time, to talk to each other by tapping the wall. The wall is the thing which separates them, but it is also their means of communication, she writes. Every separation is a link. Cited by Stephen Gross, The Examined Life. Tips for social engagement. How to achieve a better engagement rate for your posts. Try these. Know that people's time is precious. There are only 1,440 minutes in every day. It's disrespectful to send unimportant content. Authors often speak about finding their unique voice. Know yourself, and your own voice will emerge. A successful post also has a unique tone quality. Insincerity is easily recognized, and engagement ceases. Good content needs to be well designed and well marketed. It is a package for publication. Know that you are a publisher. After posting, wait to see what feedback comes in. In the light of the feedback, evaluate how well the post performed against your own goals. Remember to keep creating a team. Naturally, you will want to involve your peers, friends, or support group in evaluation of posts. This kind of feedback can be the most helpful of all. Sometimes feedback is necessary when we need more information at a variety of levels. Therefore, welcome appropriate feedback from the team and beyond. Be prepared to give constructive feedback. Another 3-minute challenge. This is a powerful 3-minute challenge. Write a positioning statement for your webpage or blog explaining exactly why you invite feedback. It's normal to get nervous about a live performance, and it can be just as nerve-wracking to write a post. No matter the audience size, a post that communicates has done its work. With your positioning statement, you have a constructive way of working with feedback. The significance of voice. There will sometimes come unbidden, as if someone spoke the word or gave the image or played the music, the thought or idea that you have never imagined you could express. Write it down. Keep a record about the creativity of faith, and self-belief will grow in you as gift. Thanks for listening to the audio version of 3 minutes of your time. If you found this audiobook helpful, please subscribe to my channel for up-to-date tutorials and lessons and overviews of Facebook and Instagram marketing. If you want to download the ebook version of 3 Minutes of Your Time, check out the description box below with a link to the Kiwi Connection page where you can download a free copy of 3 Minutes of Your Time.